What's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man, so let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Young Buck and Juvenile. I'm talking about Juve. I know y'all ain't heard that name in a while, but a lot of things are coming out of his recent interview with DJ Vlad, man. So it looks like Juvenile wasn't afraid to touch on this subject of Young Buck. But it looks like in the portion of the interview that we've seen so far, there were parts that were cut out. And in those parts, Juvenile was going hard on Young Buck. Now, if you guys don't remember, we were just talking about Young Buck this weekend. He had just gotten to the fisticuffs almost with somebody named DT, who he was originally messing with in the rap game. It was originally from Nashville, just like him, you know? This is one of his longtime partners, and it was ugly. But we talked about it, and it looks like they went their separate ways, even though DT is still down with that G unit, you know what I mean? Him and Buck, they just ain't gonna get along, and that's what it's gonna be. Now, Juvenile seems to still have problems with Young Buck. And probably the way that Young Buck told the story about how Juvenile stranded them out in Los Angeles back in the day. Now, before we get into the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about this Juvenile interview with DJ Vlad. So there's some clips going around online, and I can't use them. I know, everybody's going to probably be mad about that. But, you know, that's somebody else's property, man, and you just can't use it. But I can break it down what actually goes down in the clip. Now, in the clip, Juvenile is asked about Young Buck. Now, for those of you who don't know, Young Buck was formerly a member of G Unit, but before that, he was a member of UTP. Now, UTP was Juvenile's record label when he was having his issue with Cash Money. Now, I know he's had a lot of issues with Cash Money, but roll with me. After Juvenile's original success in the hip-hop game, he started worrying about compensation, and he was having it out with Cash Money, like a lot of folks have it out with Cash Money, right? Well, Juvenile formed UTP, and this had fans thinking like, what in the world's going on? How come Juvenile has this thing with Wacko and Skip called UTP, and we know him as Juvenile with Cash Money, and Cash Money is an army, better yet a navy. You know what I mean? And that's a joke, but you get what I'm saying. Juvenile started to split off in his own direction. He started to recruit his own artists, and it looks like he was shopping a label deal for himself with none other than Suge Knight. Now, when he went to LA to meet with Suge Knight, he brought the tour bus, and he had already, you know, had his whole crew with him. He had none other than Young Buck there. He had Wacko and Skip, I'm guessing. He had a lot of people, right? And this is all based on what Young Buck said, right? So while they're there, Juvenile is paying for everything. He's paying for the hotels. He's paying for the food. He's paying to gas the bus up. And then out of nowhere, Juvenile disappears, man. The day he's supposed to sign the deal with Suge Knight, he disappears. Maybe somebody was looking out for his benefit. A little angel on his shoulder told him, hey, man, get loose. This ain't a good idea. But he still didn't have to leave Young Buck in there in the hotel stranded. And the way that Young Buck tells the story is hilarious. He said he went to Juvenile's room, knocked on the door, and was like, hey, man, where's Juvenile? And he's like, he didn't answer. So then he went and asked his brother, like, yo, man, where's Juvie? And he's like, man, I don't know, man. He's not in his room. And then he went everywhere looking for him, and nobody could find him. Finally, even Suge Knight shows up and is like, yo, man, it's time to sign the deal with Juvenile. And Juvenile bailed on everybody. To this day, they didn't say where Juvenile went or what went down. But I can tell you this, a couple of years later, or not even a year later, it seemed like he repaired his relationship with Cash Money, man. That was when he came back to Cash Money again, and he had that song called Bounce Back. And then, you know, he had a couple of hits, man. He had a real big hit with Soulja Slim, you know what I mean? Called Slow Motion, man. It was a good thing. It was probably for the best that he went back and repaired his situation with Cash Money. But this left Young Buck and all them stranded out there. So they had to scramble. They begging people for money. They doing everything they can just to get by. You know what I mean? So they finally get some connections together. And Young Buck uses some old relationships from when he was touring with, or excuse me, on the tour bus with Juvenile. It links up with 50 Cent, and we all know that story. Into the future, he's in G Unit. And eventually, we get to the point today where everybody has a problem with him. Well, Juvenile obviously heard that interview and was obviously not happy about it. So he took to social media and said well, he didn't take to social media. I'm going to keep it funky. He took to Vlad's platform and had to express his opinion about that. Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man, and I know you enjoying this video, but make sure you go and you follow me on social media platforms like Instagram, and also go to my Twitter page and make sure you hit that follow button there so you can get the latest and greatest updates of when I'm dropping my videos. And man, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button so we can spread this video around, and we trying to get 2,000 likes, so run them likes up. All right. Now, this is the funny part. So Vlad is asking his questions like he does, and he asks a simple question like, so what's up with you and Young Buck? You know, we talked to him recently, and Juvenile goes off, man. He flashes out. He's like, I hate Buck. Called him all out his name and doubled down on the fact. He said, I hate Young Buck. Like, I said, whoa, that's a strong word. Those are strong emotions. And I think he really meant it, man. He was like, I hate Young Buck. And the interview he did with you, that made me hate him even more and bring back these old memories. And then the people in the background are like, okay, y'all asking the wrong questions. I guess, you know, Juvenile's got his manager, somebody there, somebody who's helping his career or whatnot. And he's like, yo, y'all asking the wrong questions. They had to break it up and everything. They like, okay, we gonna cut the interview. But he started to go in again. It was like, nah, I hate Young Buck. He called him out his name a couple of times. I can't say the word, but you know what it is, man. They could a female dog several times, man. And it's obvious that this relationship isn't gonna be repaired either, man. Like, who in the world is Young Buck cool with in the rap game at this point? It seems like everybody he has a history with has an issue with him, and it doesn't all have to do with the one situation that people have been treating him kind of unfair about. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I'm not against Young Buck because of what he chooses to do in his personal life with another grown adult. That's his business, and I don't care about that. But the thing about it, with him getting into it with all these folks, is a lot about stories that he tells in the past that it seems like they don't agree with, or they just didn't want out there. Now, Juvenile didn't say that anything Young Buck said wasn't true. Juvenile just said the fact that he said it made him mad. The fact that he did the interview made him mad. So maybe Young Buck was really telling the truth, that Juvenile did strand them all out there, but I'm wondering why? Like, for what purpose? Like, oh, if you're there for a meeting and you're trying to do a label deal and you don't want to do the deal, why not just, you know, take your homies with you and all that and just bug out, dip? Why would he leave his friends and everybody there and just, you know, to fend for themselves and bone out, man? Like, it just, I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense at all. And it was just a weird story, even though it's interesting to say the least, man. Now, what do you guys think about this? Do you think that Juvenile has a right to be mad at Young Buck airing out his dirty laundry? Or is Young Buck have the right to tell his story, man? Live his truth. Tell everybody what went down, how he hooked up with 50 Cent. I mean, we all heard this story a lot. Anybody who used to read the XXL or heard any other interviews or anything like that, you know what's up with the 50 Cent, G-Unit, and Young Buck getting together. It wasn't like an organic thing, man. Maybe with 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, and with Tony Yayo, yes. But with everybody else, with the game, with Young Buck, there were outside pieces that were brought into the situation. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I think Juvenile going hard on Young Buck, but it seems like a relationship they're gonna have to work on and repair. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think there's a lot more to this story than, you know, we know about? Or do you feel that Juvenile is just upset because his dirty laundry is getting aired out for everybody to hear? Now with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.